Welcome to the Pharos Fit podcast, where we help you to explore your capacity to move better, push further, and achieve your limitless potential through fitness, nutrition, recovery, and lifestyle. Hey guys, welcome back to the Pharos Fit podcast. Good to be back with you guys again. I'm excited, guys. I am here today with Dr. Sofi, in-house physical therapist. Sofi, how long have you been here now?
6 months.
It's about 6 months.
Almost 6 months.
And, when Sofi came here, she came very highly recommended for a number of reasons, and we will get into those reasons today. But I want to kind of just start out with, Sofi, how did you find yourself in the space of physical therapy? I know you are an athlete, and we'll get into that as well later on, but what specifically about therapy appealed to you, and how did you create your path to get there?
Yeah. So I wish I could say that there's just like one moment, like I just grew up always wanting to be a physical therapist, but my story is kind of a little bit longer and has lots of twists and turns to it. So I'm originally from Chicago. I came out here for undergrad to play water polo. And when I got to undergrad, I was actually a nursing major. So my grandma was a nurse, so I had kind of grown up wanting to be a nurse or being in the health field. I knew that I wanted to help people. I wanted to be like her. So I went into undergrad being a nursing major, but also playing on the water polo team, and they told me that I had to pick between one or the other. I couldn't do both because nursing was such a big time commitment, and so was being on an NCAA team.
Yes.
So I picked water polo.
Oh, cool.
Because I was like, my other dream since I had been in elementary school had been to be playing in the NCAA. A lot of kids grow up like wanting to be a professional athlete. I grew up wanting to be a college athlete. So I always wanted to play an NCAA sport really bad. And so...
How did you get into water polo though?
I was a swimmer.
Right.
So I swam the mile, like junior high and high school. So that's 66 laps.
Wow.
So that was my event. And then my other event was the 500, which is 20 laps.
Oh, wow.
And so they needed someone to be swimming. They needed someone that was like a little bit faster to help them out on the team. And so they recruited me my freshman year. I'd never played really before. I played like a little bit in 8th grade, 7th grade. But they recruited me and I was on varsity all 4 years. And then when it came to senior year, I had to decide between which one I wanted to do in college. And I got a really good opportunity to come out to California. And coming from the Midwest, I was like, California seems like the dream.
Yeah.
So let me go play in the sun. And so that was how I ended up
Especially for
here.
that sport, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that was a pretty cool opportunity. I came out here to play water polo. And then it was going really, really great. I'd chosen that over nursing. So I kind of switched gears to being more of a physician assistant major because I still knew I wanted to go into healthcare.
Right.
But then I got my first concussion November 9th, I believe it was. It's a pretty bad one. I never really had one before.
From water polo?
From water polo,
wow.
Yeah. During practice. Oh. I went up to block the ball and it hit me right in the face.
Oh, the ball? You in the face and gave you a concussion?
And those girls throw it really hard. Wow. Yeah, and I was pretty close too. Like we were like this far away from each other. So when she shot it, like it hit me hard. So I was out of school and practice for
is that
a little over 2
water
weeks.
polo?
I didn't think so, but it is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty aggressive sport.
Yeah.
And I'm not built like a
right.
lot
I
of...
mean, you hear about concussions in American sports like football and stuff, but you don't hear so much about water polo.
Yeah,
I can
and
see
it's dangerous too because you're in the water.
Yeah.
So it could be really bad.
Yeah.
So I got my first one November 9th, and then I was out for 2.5 weeks. It was really bad. I was an honors student. Like I had really great grades going into college, and my academics started to fail a little bit after that first one. And then I kept playing. Everything was going really well. I got my second one during practice again. This time it was like an elbow to the side of the head while we were swimming by each other. Right. I was out for about a week this time because I knew I needed to rest in order to heal. I knew how to go about it. And then the athletic trainer pulled me aside and she was like, hey, if you get one more before this year deadline, before November 9th of this next year, you're done. Like, we can't have you playing anymore. It's a lot of damage to your brain. Like, oh my God. And I was already feeling a lot, like my personality was kind of changing. I was
from
losing
the concussions?
Friends. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I was getting depressed. Like, it was really affecting me, but I was an athlete. Like, I wanted this so bad.
Right.
So I trained so hard that summer because I really wanted to start. And like my coach was telling me, like, you're doing really great. Like when I came back, she was like, you're doing really great. Like, I think you're going to do really well this season. And I was so excited. And I kind of started to like, you know, when you are really like into something and you know that it's a gift and you like treat it like a gift, I started to like lose that sense where I was just like top of the world feeling myself. And I think I needed to be humbled a little bit. But November 8th, there's 5 minutes left to practice, and I go up to block the ball, and she does like a little spin curve to it and hits me right in the face so hard that it goes into the goal on the other side of the pool. And I like blacked out for a second, sunk under the water, because I knew, like, and I still get emotional because it's like, that's the end of your, like, you've put so much time into that sport and it's your passion.
Is that like a standard thing, like 3 and you're out? Like,
I don't know if that's like a new NCAA thing that they're doing, but I as a physical therapist now, like, I understand why.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you appreciate it.
Yeah.
But it is like crushing as a young athlete.
And like, I had 5 minutes left to practice. Like, I just needed to make it 5 more minutes, and then I would have been in the clear. And then 5 minutes left, and like end of the practice scrimmage, and I get a concussion, and I was over. It was over. Like, that was the end of my water polo career, and I was so lost because I hadn't really made any other friends in school other than the water polo team. Like, I now was failing classes because I couldn't sit through them without being distracted. Like, I had a really bad speech impediment. My words were slurred. I would stumble through them. I had a hard time walking straight because I would get really dizzy. So I actually did neuro rehab for 4 months that following summer. So I did occupational, speech, physical, and vestibular therapy. So it was 4 hours, 3 times a week for 4 months. And at the end of those 4 months, when the semester was supposed to start again, they told me, like, hey, I don't think you should go back to school. You're not ready. Like, you need to stay in rehab for a little bit longer till you get back to being able to handle yourself and handle the academics. But I wanted to push through, so I just left the rehab program. But it was during that neuro rehab experience, like, when you're at your like lowest point and you have absolutely no hope, and you have this healthcare professional walking alongside you and encouraging you and motivating you and giving you a little glimpse of like a potential that you could get back to where you used to be. Yeah. Like, that's when I was like, oh, I like this a lot. Like, I want to do this for someone else. And then that's when I was like, you know what? Like, physical therapy, I think, is what I was supposed to be doing all this time.
It's one of those great examples of something terrible, like being a learning process, and then inspiring like a new journey.
Exactly. And it was kind of ironic because I remember like my sophomore year of high school and then sometime in junior high, random people had told me, hey, you'd be really good at physical therapy. Like, you'd be a really good physical therapist. And I was like, I don't want to be in the hospital. I want to be a nurse. I didn't know that physical therapists could be in the hospital. Right. So it was funny that other people had seen it in me long before I even saw it in myself. And it was like through that experience of losing what I thought was like my world that I realized like that I was now stepping into my calling. So that was how I originally got into physical therapy, was through all of that. Yeah. God.
Now, once you decided that you wanted to be a physical therapist, like, how long did that process take to become a physical therapist?
A long time.
Yeah.
Especially because I had traumatic brain injury. I had 3 traumatic brain injuries. So like, on my transcript, it didn't look like I had done well in school, even though I was trying my best. So I actually got rejected from the #1 school of my choice. Like, I remember going home.
Because of the trauma?
Because of my grades. They were like, oh, they didn't even see my grades. They just, the robot like took me out because they were like, oh, you don't fit the standard, so you can't come here. And I remember getting the rejection letter. My mom actually had gotten it at her house. And when I went home for Christmas, she came to me crying because she knew that was my dream school. And she was just like, I've been holding on to this. I didn't want to give it to you, but here. And they just said, like, sorry, you didn't fit the standard. We can't take you. And so then I, like, through a series of events, I somehow landed this meeting, like impromptu meeting, literally so casual on like the sidewalk at school with a professor from the physical therapy program that I wanted to go to. And he just was like, hey, tell me your story. Tell me why you want to do physical therapy. And I was just like, all right, here. And just like spit out everything and told him like why I was so passionate about it. And he was like, okay, send me 3 recommendation letters, send me your transcripts again. I'm going to see if I can get you an interview. And 3 weeks later, I had an interview. And then a month later, I got in. Amazing. And it was just like, okay, here we are. And so that was 4 years of undergrad and then 3 years of grad school to get your doctorate. And through those 3 years, there's like about 30 plus weeks of internships. So you go to different sites to learn a little bit more in person. So
from the moment you decided this was your path to the working was 7 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
God. You ever done anything for 7 years, Brandon, before you could actually do the thing?
No.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a full-on. I mean, that is a full-on doctor's.
Yeah, 7
path,
years.
right?
Yeah.
Crazy. So if you were to describe to someone what exactly it is you do now, what would you say? Because you're more than not just a physical therapist, but I look at you and I see someone who what they've created is something very specific.
Yeah, and I tried to do that too.
Yeah.
I tried to take everything that I had been given through all my experiences and then have like a different approach to my treatment with all my patients. It's unfortunate with the American healthcare system that physical therapy has kind of turned into this, most physical therapy places have turned into this fast pace, like, okay, you get 10 minutes with your physical therapist. The rest of the time is either with some high schooler that's trying to become a physical therapist someday. Yeah. And I didn't want to be that. I wanted to spend, because I had come from my experience of having someone walk alongside me, I wanted to be able to walk alongside someone else, and you need time to build that relationship. So I like to go about treating my patients with a more holistic approach, whether that be looking at their past trauma that they've gone through, or looking at their movement in the gym or whatever they're trying to get back to, and taking everything, not just them right there on my table. How is their hip moving through their range of motion when I test them? Like, how is their strength? Like, how are they moving in the gym? What trauma have they had in the past that's now impacting their mobility now? And understanding them as a whole, I think. And that helps me treat them better.
And because of your journey, like you understand that the whole thing is mindset, right? If you get yourself in the wrong mindset, then it can be very hard to recover. But if
almost
you get yourself,
impossible.
Yeah. If you get yourself in the right mindset, then the journey becomes a lot easier. And, so your job, although physical, is you're also almost a mental coach as well.
Yeah, it's a combination. And it's a good thing because I minored in psychology in undergrad, so it kind of helps a little bit.
Incredible. Yeah.
But also going through those experiences myself, I also understand that mindset's a really big part of it. And I tell my patients, like, when they start to say things like, oh, I'm so broken, I'm so messed up, I'm never going to heal. I'm like, oh, we don't say those words here. Those are bad words. Those are like swear words in this office. Like, you don't say that you're broken. No, you're resilient. Your body is so capable of healing. Like, we need to speak those good, positive affirmations. Yeah. Otherwise, your body's going to believe, like, oh, I am broken. There's no way I can ever come back from this.
That's incredible. Okay, so we become a physical therapist. Obviously we used to do the Water-Polo thing. At what point did the gym stuff, you're a CrossFit athlete now, basically. Like, how did that come about?
I was actually studying abroad my senior year. So after I had decided after I finished playing water polo, and I didn't really have anything but running, and I was studying abroad in South Africa, and there's no gyms that we could go to. Right. And one of the people that was traveling with me brought these like wooden rogue rings, and she hung them up from the tree. Right. And she was like, oh, we're going to do, I think the first one we did was Angie. She's like, we're going to do Angie, but it's going to be 100 ring rows instead of 100 pull-ups. Right. And I was like, what is this kind of workout? This is so fun. And we did like Cindy, we did like everything we could do, but with the rings. Yeah. And I told myself, I was like, when we get back to America, I'm going to find a CrossFit gym. Yeah. And then when we got back, that's what I did. Because I still had that competitive spirit in me. And I had been spending a lot of time in the gym up until that point, but doing like pointless stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think that's again why CrossFit was so successful in the beginning. It was like everybody who'd been a competitive athlete in school had nowhere to take that enthusiasm after school ended. It's like an itch you can't scratch. Yeah, and it was like, oh, now I can do that again, but in the gym world. Yeah. And how did that kind of like marry with physical therapy? Because I have known in my years, like a lot of physical therapists, a lot of doctors, they don't like CrossFit. A lot of people are like, do not do CrossFit. You will fuck yourself up. Yeah. And obviously, those opinions still exist today. And when I look at you, not only are you like an athlete, you're a very good athlete. And you're also, thank you. Obviously very serious about your physical therapy career. And you help a ton of people in that space. So how do you approach this whole conundrum? I mean, movement is medicine. So I don't think that, and even now they're saying more and more that rest is only important in certain cases and certain diagnoses. So movement is medicine. And I am if I am a healthcare professional and I'm helping someone, let's say rehab from a low back injury, and I'm giving them clamshells on the table, I'm giving them like a piriformis stretch, and I'm doing all of that, and then I'm just sending them back into their world, and I'm not looking at the way that they pick up a box from the floor, or I'm not looking at the way that they back squat, and they're going back to those activities, say for work or for working out, and I'm not addressing that component, then I'm missing out on helping them. Like they're going to come back to me in a couple weeks, in a couple months, because they're going to get hurt again.
Yeah.
So CrossFit, I don't really necessarily like do CrossFit with every single one of my patients, but I do a movement analysis, and my experience with learning CrossFit and being a CrossFit coach has helped me better analyze people's movement, know how to fix something, know what cues work for certain people, because there's different cues for every person, right? Someone can do really well with a verbal cue, and some person needs somebody to tap them on the back or tap their glute for them to turn it on.
Yeah.
Like there's different things that people respond to. So my experience with CrossFit actually, I think, really helped me throughout physical therapy school.
I mean, that was one of my questions. Like, has it made you a better therapist?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that it's helped me in areas where some of my other classmates struggled, like with exercise prescription. Like, how many sets and reps should I give this person?
Right.
What's good for building endurance versus strength versus activation? I already knew that because I had done CrossFit leading up to PT school.
Right.
And I knew like, oh, this person's back squat, like look at that. Whereas it took people a little bit longer to see the things that needed to be fixed. I could see it right away because I'd seen it so many times.
Yeah. And I think that knowledge helps, specifically in our workspace here and in other gyms, because people are trying to get back to performance, and they know what like physical work does for them. They know what sport does for them mentally and physically, and they want to get back there. So it's very frustrating when, sometimes they'll go to a doctor, or they'll go to a kind of specialist who will say, yeah, you need to stop exercising, you need to just rest, you need to this. It's like, it's not going to help them. Like,
a sedentary lifestyle leads to so many chronic diseases, which leads to early mortality. I mean, it's just,
for sure.
Why are we going to keep people out of the gym and out of being active when we can instead I'll never ever tell someone to stop working out unless it's absolutely necessary, like their ankle is broken.
Right.
But still, there's always something that they can do.
Yeah.
You don't just tell someone to go home and rest.
Yeah, it almost, I mean, depending on the person, but it almost can give people a valid excuse to not train anymore. Yeah. It's like, I sprained my calf, I can't train anymore. I'm like, really? You can't do any upper body work? You can't do any...
There's something you can do.
It's like, there's always something you can do, like you said, unless there's something extremely serious.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think, some people will use it as an excuse, and their excuse will be validated by a healthcare professional, so it becomes even more of
a man in a white coat.
Right, exactly.
And a lot of the words that they use too can be really scary. Like I've had people like be told that their neck is like close to just like snapping.
Right.
And they're like, oh, I can't move my head because the doctor said like one wrong move and I might just like snap. And
so what are you going to do?
There's so many muscles there. That's not going to happen. You're okay. Like, so much fear.
Yeah. So I guess a lot of it is almost like calming people down into that headspace of like, I'm okay. I can deal with this. And there are things that I can do to move forward.
Yeah. Giving them solutions.
Yeah. So good. And have you had any like injuries from CrossFit yourself, or?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've had plenty of injuries from CrossFit, but I've learned from each one. I mean, like I broke my wrist in 2017. I didn't know that it was broken.
Right.
I was in PT school at the time too, and I thought it was just like a sprained wrist or something. So I was just working through it.
Right.
Learned my lesson. So that's like probably the like most major injury that I've had. Luckily,
did you have a clean or something, or
handstand walking. I fell the wrong way.
Walking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, so that's about the only injury that I've had, luckily. But there's always like the overuse injuries too, and it just is a reminder to dial back. So I've been trying to keep a really good eye on like my heart rate variability and my recovery, just so that I know like when my body needs a break. Because sometimes you're not really in tune with that, especially when you're an athlete and you just want to keep going.
Sure.
Rest is important too.
Well, that's my other question. You're such a professional and you have such a busy lifestyle. How do you balance that with your CrossFit lifestyle and your urge to train more?
Yeah, I think it's just my history of growing up swimming. Like I'm used to the 5 a.m. practices and then like another afternoon practice. So like I grew up training for 5 hours a day. Like I'm already used to that. So like, it's not so much the volume that's a problem for me. It's more fitting it into my schedule.
Yeah.
So I just, every time that I get an opportunity to train, I just try to make the most of that hour, half hour that I get. And then I know when to switch gears. I know when it's time to train, and I know when it's time to work. And I don't really have a lot of downtime throughout my days, but it's worth it to me.
Yeah. It keeps you out of trouble, right?
Yeah, right.
And you're doing the Open right now, right? You started the Open. And how's that going?
It's going well. We have quarterfinals this weekend, so
Cool.
it'll be fun.
That's fun. So we're in this situation now. You've got the physical therapy thing. You've got the CrossFit thing. Like in your mind, where do you want to take this? What would be your ultimate like dream of? Do you know?
I kind of know. Like ultimately for my career, like I really want to keep expanding my business. Like I'd love to have multiple locations and just hire on PTs that are like-minded.
Well, that was my thing. It's like
yeah.
I feel like you're in such a good space and such a specialized space, and I think there are so many people that could benefit from your story and your knowledge. Like I think it would be a really good idea to grow that, because like I said, I think it's very hard to find good physical therapists that understand both the mental and physical demands of exercise and the need for it.
So I would love to expand it. I have my own business, but I also work for one of my mentors from PT school in Orange County too. So I'm there twice a week. So I'm actually learning a lot from him right now too. A lot about.
Is he similar to you?
Very similar. Except for he doesn't do CrossFit.
Right, but he understands.
But he understands. Like he does a lot of chronic pain research, which is actually like a really interesting thing and something that I try to merge into like all of the treatments that I do with my patients too. Like say like someone has like a traumatic injury from when they were 7, it could still be affecting them to this day, and it's important to kind of dive into that instead of just putting another Band-Aid on top of it. So he's teaching me a lot of different techniques of how to treat that, because those are the types of people that will search for every single type of treatment possible. They'll spend thousands and thousands of dollars for just a minute of relief. And then those are the people that will eventually turn to pain medication or surgery, or like the really the things that we want them to not do. So I'm learning a lot from him right now.
What are the most common like injuries that you see in your practice?
I would say for the first month that I was open, because I've only been open for a year. Right. So last year for the first month, even with the gyms closed, and I think it was because the gyms were closed, I only saw shoulders for a whole month. I think I saw one low back, and that was it, and one knee, and the rest were shoulders. And then for like a period of time in the middle of the summer, I just kept seeing low back injuries over and over again. It was really interesting. Like it was just like
is the shoulder thing like related to CrossFit, or are they just?
I think it was from working from home and not having a really good ergonomic setup. And then also doing push-ups because you had nothing else to do.
This is what I mean. I think a lot of it is just so much pushing. It's very hard to pull
too much pushing.
At home. You can't pull as frequently.
People were trying to do those pull-ups with the towels on the floor.
Right.
That's not the same.
This doesn't work. But I that is an injury that is common anyway with people over pushing. But especially like you said, when you're at home, you don't have the option to pull. That's why I like that we have this setup here where we have a lot of cable machines. We have a lot of pulling machines, because it is something that is hard to create with body weight. Yeah. Or with other like simple tools, and the lower back thing is just if people aren't keeping an eye on you, you're probably neglecting warm-ups, you're probably neglecting cool downs on your own. So there's probably
or you're just getting thrown into the class and you haven't done the work that you need to do to earn your spot with a heavy barbell.
Well, and I also think like stuff like kettlebell swings, because you've got a kettlebell at home or a dumbbell, like it's like you just see so many like kettlebell swings and burpees, so you're seeing like so much hinge
it's way too much hinge
all the time. And again, I think it's just an overuse thing a lot of the time.
Definitely.
I mean, that's what I saw during quarantine when I saw like other people's programming. I would think, Jesus, there's just so much kettlebell swing,
burpees 4 days a week, because we just want to get your heart rate up and make you feel like you had a good workout.
This attrition of heart rate. Yeah, which just leads
so many other options.
Yeah.
But that was definitely the thing that I've seen the most. It's really interesting with the shoulder pain. I think it was definitely because of the ergonomic setup and then like all the pushing too. But I've seen like a lot of like chronic injuries too. I think that sometimes with the deadlifting, like it becomes a fear of movement too after you get the back injury, and then it becomes this chronic pain thing, because now I don't want to do any hinge work, because the last time I hinged, it was really bad.
Right.
So I'm not going to do any glute strengthening or anything. And so now when I go to pick up a box from the ground, like, or my groceries, like, oh, I re-aggravate that injury that I had 4 months ago because I haven't done anything since then in that pattern of motion. Yeah. So fear of movement.
Yeah, fear of movement. I think a lot of the time, you know, a lot of people that come to the gym, they're like, oh, I don't deadlift because it hurts me. It's like, well, doing deadlifts wrong is what hurts you. Like, if you're doing it right, this is what's going to heal you. This is what's going to protect you. This is going to, you know, build that strength and build that muscle tissue that can protect you. So a lot of the time it's like overcoming that fear and helping them understand that these things are good when done properly. These things are bad when not done properly. And that's the same. That's true for anything. Right?
There's actually more injuries because CrossFit gets a really bad reputation, but there's actually more injuries per training hour with training for triathlons and Ironmans than there is for CrossFit. Like there's way more overuse injuries with that type of sport, which like that's not getting a bad reputation.
Right.
But people see CrossFit and it looks so different to them and it looks so intense. But if you have a really good programmer for your gym or for yourself, and you are being smart yourself and you're willing to put in the nitty gritty work to learn the movements, then you're not going to get hurt. You'll be okay.
It's really the foundations. It's really like helping people understand mechanics and movement before they understand the go hard thing. It's like, go hard.
There's a time and place for that.
Right. Yeah. But like, first of all, just learn how to move properly.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it is like anything. It's like if you do something well and if you're taught how to do something well, the risk of injury is exponentially less. But if you're never taught how to do things properly and you're just throwing yourselves into situations all the time, you know, that's true of any sport.
Unfortunately,
know? And it's true with soccer. It's true with football. Like if you don't do the work at the back end, if you don't do the gym work, if you don't do the prep work, then chances are you're going to get hurt. If you don't do the mobility work, the amount of professional athletes that have like terrible mobility is so high. So high.
And they have so much money that they could be spending on just someone to come work with them too. But you see like the really good people, the people that thrive in their sport, and you see how much money that I think there's someone from, I can't remember who, from like the Seattle Seahawks, and they showed like how much money he was spending on recovery.
Right.
And everyone was like, whoa, like how is he doing that? I'm like, well, look at how good he is. Look at his performance.
I mean, it
transfers over.
Look at Tom Brady, right? If you look at Tom Brady, I mean, he's what is he, 43 right now. He's still in the game, still making a ton of fucking money, but he's able to do that because he's paid so much attention to nutrition and to recovery and to stretching and
it's
to mobility and all these other things. Like if you want to have a long career, pay attention to this stuff.
And that's what I've learned too with patients, because at the beginning, like I tried to make my prices like so low because I wanted to get people in. And then I realized like that I'm my doctorate, I have all this knowledge. Like I'm kind of like showing them like I don't value myself if I don't charge a certain amount. And then I realized too, like I want the people that are coming in here because they want to make this investment, because those are the people that I know I can work with really well, and it's going to be a team effort. Because if it's not a team effort and I'm the only one putting in the work, we're only going to go so far. So that's when I was just like, okay, no, like this is my price. If you want to do this, you'll make the investment and you'll come in this certain time of the month. 7 years of education in something like that's worth a lot of money. Like people wouldn't hesitate to like go to a cancer specialist or, you know, a healthcare professional when they think, oh my God, I'm ill, I'm sick, I need someone who's going to like cure me. Yeah. You know, they wouldn't hesitate to pay for that kind of stuff. So it's almost like a re-education of like if you pay attention to this stuff, if you pay attention to your health and fitness, the chances of you getting like sick and ill and all these other problems that arise are going to be so much less. So if we can reframe the narrative to focus more on, let's just not. It's not a luxury item.
It's not a luxury item. Let's not get sick in the first place. Let's stay mobile and let's stay healthy. Then all these other like elements are going to be like way less. So it is like people will pay a lot of money for personal training because they think of it as, you know, I'm going to change my body. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to like physical therapy, like you're saying, it feels like a luxury. So it's like, you know, oh, I'm not sure I want to pay that much. But it's like you have 7 years of education. I know personal trainers that have done a NASM certification for 6 months, and they're like charging more than you. So it's like it is like a weird
Yeah.
Something, I mean, we talk about it in the industry all the time. Like it's a really funny thing with like with personal training versus membership of a gym with group training.
Yeah.
Even the CrossFit thing. Like people will pay so much for personal training, but they're like not as willing to pay membership prices at the gym so much. Even though often we find people get better results in the group dynamic. With a coach, when training with others, when their energy is elevated to the energy of those around them. But it's a weird mental thing.
I think they just need education, really. Like you just need to be able to tell them the benefits and then be able to meet them where they're at too, and figure out what it is that's preventing them from wanting that, and then what their goals are too, and then just tell them like this is the best thing for you. And I always tell my patients too, like if they come in with an acute injury, I'm like, you're going to meet with me 2 times a week for let's say 4 or 5 weeks, and then after that we're going to go once every 2 weeks, and then after that like once a month you just need to come in and check on me, because I'm not trying to be with you every single day for the rest of your life. I want to get you to the point where you have the mobility, you have the tools, and you're able to manage yourself in between sessions. And then we just come back in together and check in and see how everything's going. We can ask questions and then send you on your way and get you back in the gym.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Brandon, have you got the clock?
Yes.
Okay.
Ready for the clock.
So we like to do this thing. It's called the Purpose Challenge. Okay. And you're a CrossFit athlete, so you'd be used to like doing things for time.
Yeah.
So this is going to be purpose for time. Now, you don't have to give us your whole purpose. All you have to do is give me 3 words that would fit within your purpose.
Oh gosh.
It's fair, right?
Okay. 3 words.
Just 3 words. That's all it is. Okay. And we'll write them down at the end. Do you want to write them down, or do you want to just think?
Can I think for 1 second?
Yeah, you think for 1 second. We'll start the clock in like 30 seconds.
What does like purpose mean? Like why you're here?
Yeah, what is your purpose? Now that can be like, this whole thing came about like on one of my other podcasts. Mark, who's like my Navy SEAL guru guy, he like set me the task of, Piet, I need you to define what your purpose is now. Not your purpose of like your daily pursuits or your job. Like, what is your purpose in life? What are you on this planet to really do? Because once you define that, everything else makes more sense. So it's like, Dr. Sofi, what are you on this planet to do? What is your purpose? What are you here for? And then once we know what that is, like your career, your daily efforts, your CrossFit life, all that stuff makes more sense.
Okay. I think I can do that.
Just 3 words.
Just 3 words. Okay.
Ready? We're with the clock ready? 3, 2, 1. So we've got 1 minute just to think of it. Just to think of 3 words.
Okay.
And we'll play some elevating music. Ding, 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 ding.
3 words is hard.
Yeah, it is. 3 important words, 3 big words. Do you want to write them down? Let me
No, it's okay. I have them already, I think.
Oh, you have them already?
I think so, yeah.
What was your question for the other question?
What was my other what?
What do we mean when we talk about purpose?
Purpose can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people.
Yeah, it is.
Purpose can be something for yourself, or it can be something for other people.
Right,
You know,
it can be.
some people think about, what is my purpose? Like, what am I getting out of life versus what am I giving?
What am I
So,
doing? Yeah,
that's like,
for me, it was more of a case of like, not necessarily what do I want for myself, but what are 3 things that when I look at my life, I say, this is what I want the emphasis to be on.
yeah.
You know. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Compassion,
Ooh, good one.
relationship, and resilience is like the another word that comes to mind. I don't really know why that one's at the forefront of my mind, but I think either just teaching other people to be resilient, or me myself becoming more and more resilient with everything that I face.
So let's do them one at a time. So compassion. What do you mean by compassion?
Meeting people where they're at.
Yeah, good one.
Have you ever seen that cartoon where it's like there's like the little animal stuck in the hole, and like there's someone like there's like another animal standing up top, and he's like talking down to the animal, and then there's like another, like I think it's like a rabbit that like climbs down this ladder and like sits in the hole with the animal that's stuck in the hole. And there's like a difference between like looking down on someone when they're in a tough moment versus like sitting with them in that tough moment. So I want to be the animal sitting at the bottom with the person.
That's great.
And then relationship. Is that the other one I said?
Yep.
Yeah, just building relationships with people, I think, is really what I want my career to be about.
Yeah.
Not just another number, not just another diagnosis, but that's a person with a story, and I want to get to know them.
Love that. And then resilient. I mean, resilience makes just so much sense because of what you've been through, what you've learned from that experience,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course everyone that you meet,
Yeah.
you know, you're trying to teach them that, right? So
Yeah.
you have to have resilience to get through this.
Yeah, I think that's just what I want my patients to learn through our time together, what I want to learn. I think I want to just approach every challenge that I face in life, because you're going to face challenges
Sure.
no matter where you are at life. And I think just meeting it with what can I learn? What's the
Yeah.
opportunity here?
I think that's often the mistake people make. It's like they try and hide from the things that are going to challenge them, where it's like, that's not the way to go. The way is to face them head on and become resilient in facing them, and you'll be a better person on the other side.
Yeah.
We can't go through our lives like trying
Hiding.
to dodge. Trying to dodge all the things that are going to
No.
challenge us. We have to run through the walls.
If you do, then you're not going to get as much out of life as you
Right.
could have.
Right.
Yeah. So
Love that.
those are my words.
Dr. Sophie, amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What's the best place people can find you?
Probably on Instagram.
Yeah,
I
that's
hate
what
saying
everybody
that
says.
though.
Yeah, that's fine. What's your handle on Instagram?
Dr. Sofit, I think is what it
Dr.
is.
Sophie, that's
Yeah.
it. And sessions are an hour, 45 minutes.
The first one's an hour long, and then all the other ones are 45 minutes.
Minutes. We'll put all this in the notes as well. And you have a website or anything like that, or you have your own app that people book through, right?
I have a website. It's just rawperformance.org.
Rawperformance.org. We'll put that on that link as well. And you got the semi-finals this weekend? No,
Quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals this
Yeah.
weekend. You excited about that?
I'm excited, yeah. And then I have the NorCal Classic next
yeah.
month in Stockton.
Oh my god, I was in that. But
That'll be fun. No offense to Stockton, but
I qualified for that. I paid for the thing, and then it was like cancelled so many times. I was
yeah,
like,
it got canceled so many times.
And then
It's gonna be my first trip of the year to Stockton.
Glamorous. Are you gonna do? Isn't there the Rogue one as well? Isn't that one coming up? The Rogue Invitational.
Oh, maybe.
That comes up next
I did the qualifier last year, but
Right.
yeah, but we'll see.
Well, thanks so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Guys, a lot of the time, like, I know people's stories a little bit. I didn't know any of this stuff, so this has been fascinating for me, and I'm sure it's been fascinating for you. Dr. Sophie is here every Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I would thoroughly recommend that if any of you out there are struggling with any kind of like injury or ailment, or you're worried about something happening like in the future, I would highly recommend you book an appointment with Dr. Sophie. She's here Fridays right now. I'm sure in the future
Hopefully
she'll be
more
here
often.
even more. But you know, I have zero doubt that she can help you a ton, and especially you guys that are members of the gym. And we do a lot of this, a lot of this physical work, and every now and again we have to pay a little bit of attention to our bodies, give them a little bit of love, and think about the recovery side of things, think about the repair side of things, and make sure that we're not hurting ourselves as we move forward. So make sure you book an appointment, go and see Dr. Sophie, and thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon. Thanks, guys. See ya.